Hey guys, I'm Maddie and welcome back to my channel. Before we start, I apologize for the glare in my glasses. Typically I'd wear my contacts, but can't find them. So we are doing the glasses today and I'm sitting in front of a big ass window, so there's gonna be some reflection. But today's video is going to be the beginning of the year book tag. I saw Larry Reads do this video and I want to join in because it sounds so much fun. Am I very, very late to the party? Yes, but that is the story of my life. I am late to everything, as we'll notice with these books, because a lot of these have been out for quite some time now and I will just be getting around to them. So it's not about like specific books I want to read this year. It's more just like an overarching view of all the bookish things. Okay. Let's get right into it. First question is, how many books are you planning to read in 2025? My goal is to read 50 books. So that's one book a week. I think that is doable because I am starting to lean into audiobooks more, which they're not my favorite, but I am learning to enjoy them. And I think you either start out loving audiobooks or you're like a little hesitant to them and then you fall in love with them. And that was me. I did not like audiobooks. I just didn't like listening to somebody read me the story. I liked having the voices of the characters in my own head. And I feel like audiobooks almost took away a little bit from the story for me personally. And it was hard to like listen and pay attention because I would really only listen to audiobooks like while I'm doing something. I didn't just want to like sit down and listen. But I'm learning to appreciate them and kind of getting over that like learning curve, I guess. Second question is a book that you're most likely to reread in 2025. And I actually have an answer for this because I am currently doing a reread, and that is Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. I am rereading this as of, today is the 24th when I'm filming this video. I'm rereading this because I just finished a book that changed my life and sent me into the biggest book slump ever. I will get to that, but I needed something, I'm kind of in like a fantasy mood, but I wanted something short and sweet and something that I already knew the story and the plot line of. So this little novella has got my attention. I really love this book. It is part of the Nyaxia series, like The Serpent and the Wings of Night and those books. You don't have to read this to read the others, and you don't have to read the others to read this. This is my first book by Carissa Broadbent, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It follows Lilith and Lord Vale. Lilith, I think, is like a mortal girl living in a world with vampires, but her city, her village, has been cursed by a god, and like all of life has basically been wiped out. Like no crops grow, no plants live there, and people are slowly dying. So she seeks out Lord Vale because he is a vampire and she believes that his blood is going to stop this curse. It gets spicy. It gets spicy. It's so quick and easy to get into. Like, it's not very confusing. You just like jump right into it, and it is 183 pages. So this will be a great little book to get me back into reading after my little slump, which we will get to because I'm going to talk about that book later. Question number 3, a priority read on your 2025 TBR. As I had mentioned, I am late to the party, and my priority read is The Assassin's Blade. This is the prequel to the Throne of Glass series. There is big debate how you should read that series, whether you should start with this book or if you should read this book third or fourth. I have made the decision, as you can see by my bookmark, I have started this, but then a new book was released, so then I stopped reading this. I'm on page 18. I am going to be starting with The Assassin's Blade and then getting into Throne of Glass because I don't want to go back in time. And I think some of the Throne of Glass, like the first like 3 books or whatever, spoil what happens in this book. So I think I would like to read it chronologically. That's my hope. That's what I'm gonna plan to do, but I have started this. I just have not finished it, obviously, because life gets in the way sometimes. And then question number 4 is an author you won't be reading more books from this year. To be quite honest, I have not read enough. I haven't read enough. I've read quite a bit, but I haven't like dove too far into authors' work where I have an opinion about this. First author that kind of comes to the top of mind is Megan Quinn, because I read her book, How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. And I know it's a Christmas book and she has like a bunch of other non-holiday books. Just some of the writing style and the spice didn't really do it for me, so I'm not in a rush to go pick up any of her books. But besides her, I haven't really come across multiple books from an author that have like turned me off. So that being said, I think I will read more of her books if something catches my eye, but I'm not like actively seeking out her books. Question number 5 is something new you want to read, new genres or new tropes. Ironically enough, these are by the same author, and that is Wild Love and Flawless by Elsie Silver. Both of these follow single dads. I would like to read more single dad romance because I haven't read a single one. Haha, get it? Single dad, haven't read a single one. I have never read a single dad romance, and I think it would be interesting to see like the father-kid dynamic. I haven't really read too many books with kids either, so we'll see how that goes. Both of these are part of series. Flawless is part of the Chestnut Spring series. I think there's like 5 books, and then this Wild Love is part of the Rose Hill series, and I think there are 3 books out. I am a little nervous to enter into the single dad romance. I know those 2 books that I picked are so popular. So many people love them and rave on and on and on about them. So those ones I feel like are safe bets that I will enjoy. I just don't know how I'm gonna feel about the whole kid dynamic. Sometimes I think like I just don't want to read about kids. Not that I have anything against them, but I don't know. I'm just a little hesitant. I have really wanted to read Flawless. That is definitely high on my list to read. I'm just like a little worried. Just like slightly. A popular book you want to read. As I had said, and I will say it again, I am late to the frickin' party because I haven't read a lot of popular books, to be quite fair. There are also, like with the hype of book talk, there have become so many more popular books that I'm still trying to like keep up and make my way through like popular books from like 5 years ago. That being said, Binding 13, The Boys of Tommen series by Chloe Walsh. This is the first book. It follows like, I think it's a college sports team, and each character has like 2 books within the series. I don't know much about this. I am hearing a little bit more about it as time goes on. I'm picking up bits and pieces, and apparently it's really heavy. Like there are a lot of heavy, sensitive topics that you should check your trigger warnings if that's something that you do before a book. I don't check any trigger warnings. I like to go into it blind and just hope for the best. But apparently it is more graphic than you would think by looking at it, and that what some people say it to be, or that you might be led to believe. I do own the entire series, let that be known. I own every single book and I haven't read a single one, so I'm hoping I fall in love with it. Hoping, fingers crossed. A lot of like big influencers that I follow that I have similar book taste to, they've all loved this, like rated it 5 stars. So I have high hopes for this. Question 7, this is my favorite question. Most anticipated 2025 book release. And I can talk about this because it's actually been released. It's been out for 3 days when I'm filming this. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. This is the 3rd book in the Empyrean series. The first is Fourth Wing, and then Iron Flame, and now Onyx Storm. This will be a 5-book series, and the 3rd one just got released, and I've already finished it. Look at these beautiful sprayed edges. So gorgeous. I love this book. I loved it so much. 5 freaking stars, 6 stars, all of the stars. This is my favorite book of the series because we dive so much more into the world building, and there's so much more adventure to it. The romance, the heartbreak, the emotional connection in this. Chef's freaking kiss. I'm not gonna say anything about it because I don't want to spoil like Fourth Wing or Iron Flame in this video. I will talk about this book later in a future video, but this lived up to every single expectation I had. Some people I've heard are a little bit disappointed, but I almost wonder if that's because expectations were too high and they were expecting to get all of the answers. Like, this is the third book in a 5-book series. We're not going to get everything wrapped up so nicely in the third book. It needs to set up for the last two. Like, the last two is where shit really happens. This is the book that sent me into my book slump because it was so good and because I was like so excited for it. The come down after this was hard. I cried so many times in this book. I laughed, I giggled, and then I felt emotionally empty after. I struggled for a little bit, but I took a day off from reading, didn't read anything, and then now that's why I'm picking up 6 Scorched Roses. Question number 8, a bookish goal for 2025. And my goal is to buy less books and to use my library more. I have so many books that I've bought that I haven't read yet, so I'd like to use my personal library more, but then also my public library because books are freaking expensive and libraries are so important for a community, and I would like to support them as much as I can. I'd also like to request more books through my library so then I don't have to buy them and more people can share the love for my favorite books. I try not to buy books that I can get from my library, but if I really love them or if I am very excited to read them, or if I can only, or if my library only has like an audiobook or the ebook of it, then I'll buy it typically, or if it's on sale or something. So there's a lot of exceptions, but I would like to get through like a physical TBR before I buy, whether that's like from my library or from the books I already own. But yeah, books are just so expensive and I don't reread often. I probably reread more than the average person because the books I love, I want to experience all over again. But typically I only read a book once and then it sits on my shelf, which in my opinion is money well spent because I got to experience that happiness and that joy. And now I get to like have a physical reminder of it. But the books that I'm not sure about, that I'm kind of on the fence, I would like to get from my library first. Question number 9 is a book that has been on your TBR you probably won't ever read. I am very sad to admit, but that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I have tried to read this book 2 times and I have only made it to chapter 2. Oh my God. And that's page 46. I have only made it to page 46 in this book and it's just not captivating me. It's kind of very slow and I'm just like not into it. Yeah, I have this book, but I don't think I'm ever gonna really read it unless something happens where I'm like, yeah, I would love to be bored to tears and I just don't care. I just don't care about what happens in this book. I'm sure if I got like 150 pages in, then maybe it'd start rolling a little faster. But at this point, I have so many other books that I want to read. I'm just not reaching for this. And I haven't heard raving reviews about it that have like encouraged me to pick this up and to keep pushing through. So this is on like the very, very back burner where I'm like, yeah, I kind of forgot I even had you. But every time I see it, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to pick it up. I kind of just want to see what it's about, but not enough for me to actually reach for it. Question number 10 is a series you want to read this year. I did a whole video of all of the series I want to start in 2025, but one specifically that I haven't talked about yet is Zodiac Academy. I've heard it is a bit of a struggle to get into it, like the first book or two aren't as highly rated as the other ones, but the series as a whole is really good. I'm interested in this. Again, it's a fantasy, a romantasy, with like a fae college, and there's a bunch of different fae in this world, or like different mythical creatures, like maybe vampires, fairies, werewolves. Honestly, don't really know, don't know too much about it. I would like to go into this completely blind. There are like so many books in the series. I think there might be like upwards of 11 total with like novellas and other POVs included. The first book is The Awakening. Question 11 is your auto-buy authors going into 2025. Honestly, I don't really have any like auto-buys. I don't necessarily buy based on author, but based on book. I guess if I had to say one, it would be Rebecca Yarros. Because I love every book she's put out. I've only read like 5 or 6 of her books in total, I think. The Last Letter, besides like the Fourth Wing series, The Last Letter is my favorite, and it was so heart-wrenching. It pulled on so many emotional strings, but it was such a good book. 5 stars for me. So I don't think Rebecca Yarros can do any wrong. But like, other than her, I don't really have any other auto buys or authors that I'm really keeping up with. Oh, I guess Ali Hazelwood. I do love her books. She is fantastic. I think I've read almost all of her books. She does have a new one coming out called Deep End. It's about swimmers that fall in love. The title was gonna be Wet, W-H-E-T, so I think there's like a special copy that you can buy, like a hardcover, and the actual hardcover book says Wet, but like the dust jacket says Deep End. I would love to get my hands on that. Question 12, a book to show adaptation you're excited about. I have 2. I don't know if either of them are coming out this year. They've both been announced, but no like release date. The first one obviously is Fourth Wing. Rebecca Yarros is working with Michael B. Jordan and Amazon to make this come to life. I am so excited. On Facebook, all I see is like fan casting, and to be honest, I haven't really seen anyone that like hits home for me that I'm like, yeah, that's definitely my Xaden, definitely my Violet. There's a few where I'm like, ooh, those would not be bad, but I really hope it's like some unknown characters or unknown actors that like emerge through this. But the amount of pressure that has to be riding on the casting director's shoulders, not a job I'd want, because there are so many people that feel very passionately about who should be casted, and that's a lot of pressure to have. Not something I'd want. And another adaptation that was recently announced is the Twisted series. I don't know if it's gonna be movies or TV shows, but the Twisted series by Anna Huang, Twisted Games, Twisted Love, Twisted Hate, and Twisted Lies, I think. I've only read 2 of them, Twisted Love and Twisted Games. Twisted Games was my favorite. It's a princess and her bodyguard romance. They're all interconnected standalones, but follow like a group of 4 girls and then their love interests. But I'm very excited. I think it would be really interesting to see, and I think it could be like really cutesy and just a fun old time. Twisted Love does follow like a 20-year-old billionaire, and it's like a dark romance with like mafia ties and stuff. It's not really dark romance, but there's like dark aspects to it. So that'll be interesting to see how that translates from page to screen. Question 13, a sequel you're anticipating. Sparrow and Scythe. Sparrow and Scythe. That is the 3rd book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. The first is Butcher and Blackbird, then Leather and Lark, and then Sparrow and Scythe by Brynne Weaver. Dark rom-coms. They're so fun. Again, I think they're considered interconnected standalones, but I suggest reading them in order. Obviously, I haven't read the 3rd one yet, but the first 2, I think you should read it in order. Get a bit of background and some context for things that happen in later books. But basically, it follows murderers. Like, I think both of them are murderers, at least in the first 2. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be in the 3rd book, but it follows 3 brothers and then their respective love interests. It's such a fun time. I read those first 2 books so freaking fast, so I feel like the 3rd book will be no exception. Next is question 14, bookish things you're leaving in 2024. This one almost pains me to say it because I have followed this rule for so long, but that is being overly careful with my books. Books are meant to be read. They're not necessarily meant to be kept in perfect condition, with the exception of like special editions. This is my special edition of Onyx Storm, the deluxe edition. This one I will keep in pristine working order, but I also have a copy, like a regular hardback, and that one I'm a little less careful with. I'm not afraid to rough it up a little bit. I want to do a reread of Fourth Wing and actually like pen to paper in that book and highlight, underline, maybe do some doodles, because I want to have fun with reading and be more engaged and connected. I don't want to be so cautious about not breaking the spine, about not bending a page, about tabbing and highlighting. These books are mine. I put my money into it, so I want to treat it how I want to. Obviously other books, like library books and other people's books, those I will treat with the utmost respect. But my own personal books, I don't want to be afraid to like show some wear and tear and to show that it is a loved book and that I have actually read it. Again, the exception of special editions. Those are literally just sitting on my shelf. Those are trophies. Those are not meant to be read and touched. They are meant to be looked at. But like regular copies, I don't want to be so cautious with them and be afraid to like read them. I don't want to be afraid to read them and to actually use them, open them, show them my love. Question 15 is, what can you expect from my content and from this account? I just want to post more consistent content, and that's not necessarily meaning like consistent uploads. I just want to have a little bit of like consistency through what I post. Finding my place on YouTube, on social media. So really leaning into my books and to like mental health and vlogs. Just kind of being more intentional with what I post and prioritizing the things that are important in my life and not just posting things that I think are gonna get views or that I think are expected of me. Kind of just leaning into my life and me personally and not being afraid to post what I want and just being consistent like with my book videos and with my vlogs and talking about mental health, because I'm a big advocate for mental health and for dealing with depression and anxiety and stuff like that. So essentially just finding my place in the corner of the internet. And I think that's just by being myself. So I'm not necessarily a consistent person with my hobbies and stuff, but I want to make an effort into being consistent with what I post. I don't really know how to like articulate that, but there you go. A whole lot more of the same thing, I guess. Question 16 is, how has your reading taste evolved from last year? Last year was the year I really got into reading and when I picked up so many new books, and it was a year of firsts. First reading like dark romance, fantasy, contemporary romance, some thrillers. Like it was just a year of trying new things, and I want to carry that through to this year. But I also want to become more of a mood reader and listening to what I want to read. Again, not just reading what I think I should be reading or what's expected of me. Like for example, after I finished Onyx Storm, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to start a new series because I want to give the book the benefit of the doubt and like give it an honest shot. But I think after coming down from such a highly anticipated book, no matter what I read next would be a disappointment and wouldn't live up to its full potential. So that's why I chose to do a reread of Six Scorched Roses, because I'm like, I know this book, I know I can get through it. It's short, it's a little novella. So that's what I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna pick up a new book, I'm gonna do a reread, and that's okay. And I want to carry that throughout this year, just reading what I want, when I want, and branching out more again and just trying different genres, trying different tropes, not saying like no to anything and just diving right in. Freaking battery lights on again, but we're almost done. Question 17 is booktube creators who inspire you, and I have 3 of them. The first I mentioned so often in my videos. I am basically like a walking ad for her, and that is Miss Larry Reads. I love her videos. Her and I have a very similar book taste. I trust all of her recommendations wholeheartedly. A lot of my recs recently have come from her, which is really exciting. I just love how transparent and honest and funny she is, how laid back. I just really appreciate her outlook on things. And then we have Destiny Sidwell. She is so aesthetic and like I don't know, I just like her vibe too. She's very like girly, which I want to lean more into, and I like her view on things like that. And Larry Reads is more of a dark romance fantasy, whereas Destiny Sidwell is more like contemporary romance fiction, some fantasy too, like don't get me wrong, but I think we have a little bit different book taste, which is completely okay. And that's why I like watching her videos, to get different recommendations and to see what she's reading. And I just love her videos. And then finally we have Heather McLary, and she is more like dark academia. darker horror and thriller type of books. So all three of these booktubers I love. All have very different content wise. Like Larry Reads does a lot of reading vlogs, which I love. Destiny does more like sit down videos, and then Heather does a little mix of everything. So they all have a lot to offer, and I feel like there are safe choices for any type of book that you're looking for. The final question is something you want to say to anyone wanting to start a bookish account. To be quite honest, I don't think I am qualified to speak on this because I am still figuring out my own bookish account, my own YouTube channel, but I guess just do it. Just do the damn thing. Do what you love. You will attract an audience. Like if you enjoy doing it, there will be somebody else who enjoys it as well. So just post what you're passionate about. Don't try to recreate somebody else's style because it won't work. It won't feel authentic to you. It'll seem forced for both you and for like the people watching. So just do what you want to do and have fun with it. Don't put so many expectations on yourself for something to come of it. Just do it because you enjoy it. Anyways, that is it for this video. That has been the beginning of the book year tag. I am excited for this year. I think it'll be filled with so many great reads. We started off so high that I am a little bit worried that we can't surpass that I have set the bar at the top and it's only gonna go down, but I don't wanna think like that. There are so many great undiscovered books yet. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a great year. I'm very excited and looking forward to it. And I'm excited to post more on this channel, figure out my place. Just keep doing what I'm doing, I think. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye. No fucking way that just happened. I went to move that. We're starting off great. Great.